I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for coming this evening. We appreciate you all being here. This meeting is a meeting of the Harrison Heights Board of Directors in public for the purpose of conducting the Homeowners Association's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation under other as indicated on the agenda. If you would like to speak, some of you already have, please sign there, your unit number, and we will call you up under other. Meetings are videotaped and uploaded and archived to the Harrison Heights YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and search Harrison Heights meetings and they will come up, and then you can also hit the subscribe button and you will get our meetings automatically in case you miss one. We're going to start with new business. The first item on the list, we have a couple of guests this evening, and thank you both for coming, which is Russ from American Family and Lori from Watson Management Company. Russ, if you would like to stand up, please, and give us an overview of our insurance, and then if you don't mind, we'll open it up to the floor for anybody who has any questions.
Sure.
And give us a little bio about yourself.
Sure. My name's Russ Barriols. I'm with American Family Insurance. I've been with American Family for 17 years now. Actually, October 1st will be 17 years.
And do you mind just kind of stepping over? Yeah, that way they'll be able to see that you're here. Thank you.
So, I was actually asked by Resource Management to quote your condominium, and right in between that, you guys made a change with your property manager, and I also have a relationship with Watson Development, so worked out pretty good. But pretty much this says it all for you guys with American Family, but not quite all. So we did raise your coverage on your building coverage. We lowered your deductible, and we saved you about 10 grand this year, $9,000. We have American Family has a new policy, and it's they priced it really aggressive because they want this type of building. So that's how you guys. This is. What's your name?
Karen Little.
Little.
Yes.
I knew. You're my client.
Yes, I am.
I couldn't think of your last name. So, if you have any questions, ask Karen.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Explains everything to you.
Yeah, so I try to go over the policy. If you guys have any questions about the policy, it's pretty straightforward. There's one thing with our policies. I know you guys have to insure all your units individually from the drywall in, usually. And our old policy, if the building was insured by American Family and you had your condo unit insured by American Family and had a loss, we would waive the deductible. Now, I can't positively say that with the new policy. I'll find that out. I should have found that out before I came here, but I'm pretty sure that's still in effect with this new policy.
And if it's not, is that something that we could get? Because that is common with condos.
Yes.
Is that something
Yes.
that we can addend?
I'm 95%
Okay.
sure it's still.
So all American Family insurance holders for the inside of their
Correct.
unit has that, where they would wait.
Wait,
Oh,
the
wait, I
deductible.
wasn't with you at the time, never mind, I wanted my money back, but I'm.
So, yeah, so I've been with American Family for 17 years. American Family's been around for almost 95 years now. We're based out of Madison, Wisconsin. We're primarily a Midwest company. We have 19 operating states, primarily in the Midwest, West, and in the Northwest. So we don't have a lot of hurricane exposure and all that good stuff. And that's part of the reason why we were able to do this for you. So does anybody have any questions?
Thank you for coming.
Can I take one of these?
Sure. And then-
Actually, I have one
Go
question. You increased the coverage of the building from, I think it was $9 million to $12 million.
Where did that number come from?
So-
And were we underinsured before, or what?
It's a kind of gray area thing. We have software
Okay,
that we use, and I take the square footage of the building, the materials of the building, input all that stuff, and it gives me a price per square foot basically, and it gives me the big number, and it gives me a number in between, you know, a smaller number and a larger number. So, were you underinsured? I would say probably yes. I mean, $3 million is a pretty big spread, you know, so yeah, I would say yes, you were probably underinsured. I don't wanna say you're overinsured now, but again, until you have a loss, you really don't know, you know, what all it's gonna entail, you know, so that's
that
where
was
we came,
all I was curious.
that's where we came from the number though, yeah.
Go ahead.
Since the building was opened in '74, we don't have a sprinkler system, but we have flex support.
Right.
But we have a flat roof, which we don't have flex support. Do any of those issues play into our coverage?
So, yeah, I mean, that was part of the reason why you got a bigger discount too, because I know who built this building, it was Mr. Watson, wasn't it?
I don't think so. No, it's all
No.
Toff and Reisner.
Oh, was it all
It's all Toff and Reisner.
Okay, well, anyways, I knew that it was Flexicor, and I knew that it was block, you know, and brick,
The cinder block.
yeah. So, that did play into it, it's called, your building's referred to as a masonry non-combustible building. So that plays into
So
part of the rate.
that's into our favor.
That, yes, it plays into part of the rates. Resource management gave me, you guys just recently had a roof inspection done on your roof, and I know there's parts of the roof that are questionable. I think this roof had just been replaced recently on this building. Is that, no?
I haven't seen anything.
If it has, we don't have anything about
Okay,
it, so.
okay. But I remember seeing the documents on the roof, and that's another issue. The one issue that it's a flat roof is in your favor, actually. Flat roofs used to not be, but flat roofs are, since we've had, you know, there's just been more frequent hail storms and more frequent wind storms and tornadoes in that, in the last decade or so, and flat roofs are very favorable now to insurance companies. So instead of shingles flying off, kind of thing. So that played into your favor too. And you know, when I walked around, you know, I know you guys have a pool, but it's very secure. Everything seems to be secure and well maintained. So it was a favorable piece of property for me to insure. It was pretty easy to talk to the underwriter and get favorable premium for you guys. So,
I have a question. At the end of our policy, when it comes
To
to
renewal.
renewal, do you automatically renew it, or do we call you and rebid it?
well, you don't have to rebid it. I mean, they're gonna send in a new renewal premium to you.
Okay.
My guess is it'll probably be higher than next year than this year. When you get that renewal, remember that we saved you guys $10,000. But when that renewal comes out, I look at it too. I usually get it probably 90 days
Okay.
before it's gonna renew, and I'll take a look at it and see how they change the coverage. You know, like the coverage on the building will usually go up. The coverage on, if you had any personal property or whatever, usually goes up a little bit. And then I always have flexibility with the underwriter.
Okay, so you'll go back and get another, if it's,
Well,
That's great.
if it's like a 35% increase, yeah, you know.
what is their standard increase?
I can't tell you what this new policy, I honestly can't, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see till next year.
Okay.
Okay? But trust me, if it's crazy,
He'll call,
I'm-
he always calls me
yeah.
to discuss it, and he
I'm on your
gets
guys'
back to
side
them, and
when it
plenty
comes,
of time
when it
for
comes
it.
to premium.
Okay.
I understand that, you know, so.
Well, we appreciate that. And then, Russ, you might have some additional roofing information that we might need.
I can-
And that's not, you know, that's kind of pretty common with this board. So can you get that to Lori, what you have, so we can look at it? Because I think you're looking at something that we have not saw.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay, okay, yeah, that's not.
and you need that also.
Oh, yes.
You don't have it either, do you?
That was a pretty, I never seen a report like that from a roofer. It was very
And was
comprehensive.
it a report that was just done recently?
I wanna say it was done in 2018.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
We need that.
It
See
was,
what's going on
yeah, it
there.
was fairly recent.
Okay, appreciate
So, yeah, I'll get that to you,
Well,
because I know I
thank
saved all that stuff.
Matt,
Anything else?
what kind of report are you talking about?
So I got a report from Resource Management, and they,
On the roof?
yeah, they had a roofer come out, and I can't remember what the name of the roofer was, but he did I mean, it was like a 20-page comprehensive report on how, you know, basically the maintenance of the roof and what needed to be maintained and what was good and what was bad, and so, yeah.
We would have liked to have seen it.
Yeah.
Would have been really advantageous to this building, but
Okay.
it is
Yeah.
what it is.
I will get that to you, I'll make sure you will
Thank
see
you.
it.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, thank you, Russ.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a great night.
all right. You good?
We're good?
All right, we'll talk.
Yes.
We'll talk.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to meet
Next,
you.
Good night.
Next, we're gonna move on to the accounting audit. We will need a motion to approve the quote from McMahon and Associates to do an audit. Do a motion, please.
I motion to approve the quote from McMahon and Associates.
My second.
Discussion? All those in favor, yay?
Yeah.
Those
Yay.
opposed, no? Motion passed. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the secretary's report.
I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes for 6/27/19. The board got them electronically.
I'll second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, yay? Those opposed, no. Motion passed. Thank you. Treasurer's presentation. Year-to-date and past year's reserve. Jason, yeah, I know that you've spent a lot of time on our budget and
I got a new sheet today that's apparently our balances as of July 23rd. So I'll start with that one and then I'll go back to the June 30th information that I prepared for you guys. So, our checking account has $39,242.28 in it. The money market has $72,195.67. The certificate of deposit is $108,162.18, which gives a total of $219,600.13. Accounts receivable is $3,179, and putting the total assets at $222,779.13. That's the rest of the way down the report.
so since you just did the treasurer's report, then do we have a,
Yeah, we've got
okay.
the bank account
Alright.
summary.
Mhm.
This is as of June 30th. I know some of you guys sit towards the back, so I printed up some copies. I only did 5 though. Yes.
I don't know. Anything with blankets?
I can't read the TV from back here, so.
Wait, what? Okay.
All
So
right.
I don't forget.
Okay.
Would you like one?
I need to know anything.
All right.
So the ending balance as of June 30th, let me blow this up on my screen, wow. Is a total of $192,351.82 across all of the accounts. That was $11,000 in checking, $72,000 in the money market, $108,000 in the CD, and we had a $291 on the Costco credit card at that time. Which, for the funds, puts us at $174,653.76 in the general reserve. We do not have, at this moment, the reserve split into a roof and non-roof
You
funds.
said, again, what was the money?
$174,653.76. It's on the third page in there. All these slides are exact in there. We put in $5,661 according to the budget in June to get us to that number.
which left us with an operating budget at the end of June of $11,801.83, with July being the assessment month. So here's a graph of our accounts over time since we took over in September, or since this board took over in September. I've actually only been here in May and June. Fairly constant across the board with spikes every quarter.
So what's the colors? Can you-
Okay, I apologize for these colors. They were nice and contrasting on my computer, and then I dropped them in the PowerPoint presentation, which apparently had a color palette in it, and it made them these hideous ones. But the green at the top on the right side is the CD that this board purchased. The green on the top left with the speckles in it was the previous CD. So you can see that they're approximately the same amount. If you get in there measured to the pixel, you can tell that it's more now. The magenta-ish color is the money market. Same to the one on the right that's solid is the money market that this board has. The speckled one is the money market that was under the previous board. And the gray at the bottom is the checking account, speckled and non-speckled. There's, in the center here, a savings account that we had temporarily that got changed into a money market directly dollar for dollar from January to February. And then there's a couple of orange accounts that were maintained by the management company. The previous August, there was a checking account that PPMW used, and then Resource Management used some ACH accounts that they transferred our assessments through before they sent them to us. So our budget summary through June 30th, we have brought in about $1,000 more in assessment or in total income than is on the budget. A few people prepay, and we have spent about $9,000 more than is on the budget. However, and I'm not an accountant, I'm an engineer, so I've got to look into the rules on this, and I wanted to play it safe. We prepaid our insurance through June of next year, so technically only 3 months of that payment is on this year, and 9 months should be on next year's budget. I have not split that yet, which will push, I think, $6,000 or $7,000 up to next year. And there's the $5,000 in dispute with Resource Management that we have the lawsuit over that is also against us here. So were that to work out in our favor, we would actually be slightly under budget.
And then there's some discrepancies, and you're still looking at that, I know, Lori, with assessments.
Yes.
About 10 of them that have proof,
Well, we got it down to 5 people. I think it's 5 people that owe now.
but I don't know if all of them were in. So they're giving her, Resource Management said they're behind in assessment. Some were behind, they said 30 days, 60 and 90. They're bringing in proof to her that they've paid.
From the amount of
But
money
the
that's
amount of
come in,
money's not in there.
obviously that we're pretty close, or that there's not a lot of people behind.
Yes, yes.
The expense categories were over in insurance, like I just said, we're over in professional fees, like I just said. The elevator, there's some question on that. We paid $5,000 since September. The board here schooled me that some of those services might have been performed last calendar or last financial year. Okay, I haven't seen the invoices,
Pulled
but
up all the stuff. They did the job in August, but they didn't pay them until October. So I questioned it, nobody would get back to me at PPNW or Resource Management, whatever. However, we paid a bill that was done on the other budget that belonged to the other board here up to the $4,000. So, you know, this is kind of a spew, but
So that's all the elevator expense?
yeah, $5,200.
I know.
they had to
Sorry,
replace.
that's how much over the budget it is. I got the absolute dollars. If somebody wants me to look it up, I can.
Well, they had to replace the door sensor. Eye sensor. My
Eye, okay.
grandchild, who was
So
at
it
the
still
time,
stays open when someone's going in?
yeah, but
Okay.
it closed on my grandchild. He was 6 at the time. His hand, crushed his hand in it. And if it had been called and moved, it would have cut his hand off. I asked the previous board, please do something, and I was told, we don't have the money, and it didn't get done until August, and this happened in the cold weather when my kid was wearing, thank God, a glove. So, I know I watched that one.
in slightly under budget, total we can credit that to changing landscaping companies.
Thank you.
Building maintenance is under budget. Part of that, there's $11,000. $5,000 was budgeted to this building, which could probably use it, but since we've got other categories that are over right now, it can definitely do without.
Well, that was budgeted for the cleaning crew to clean it in the summer.
That seems kind of excessive to me. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's what was on the budget,
Yeah,
$5,000. Utilities are about the same. There's this unbudgeted, 200 of that is our website that I still have not worked on, sorry, everybody. The rest of it is money that went out in September and October that I have not gotten invoices for. So I was unable to even make a guess at what it was spent on. But I have bank statements, so I know that it's accounted for, I just don't know what it was spent on. The reserves. In the beginning of 2018, they were marked at $138,671 when it was turned, or as of today, $174,000, or $174,654. This magenta-ish line right here is a roof estimate that we had. Apparently, I did not know that we had 2 roof estimates. This is the Cadillac roof estimate. That includes re-insulating and replacing the gutters, which are only 7 years old and are supposed to last at least 20, so we probably don't need this estimate. The previous boards had budgeted $24,000 for reserves. Resource management changed that to $22,500. I'm not certain why, I just know that that's the number. And if we wanted to parlay our savings on the insurance into bringing the reserve payments up to $32,000 a year, then by the end of 2021, we would have $253,000 in reserves. Again, that's just a general account. We haven't split it up. Your board has promised to get a strategic plan together so that we can make good sense of it.
So previous boards, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to see there, and I know we went over that. So
Yeah.
that's, the top line represents what then, Jason?
The top line is on the left scale.
Yes.
So that's $24,000 is how much was budgeted to go into the reserves every year.
And so where's the line that showed what previous board members put in? Because that
You
goes
told me
back to
that
what?
that only goes to 2018.
To 2018, okay.
That was
Okay, that's
all
fine.
you wanted.
All right, that's good, all right. So we'll do that later.
So it dropped down to 22,500, approximately the same amount.
All right.
This is it at 32,000 if that's what future boards decide they would like to do,
Okay, thank you.
whoever is on. And that's it for your treasurer's presentation. If anybody would like the spreadsheet that I used to come up with those graphs, it is on these thumb drives. You can take it, look at it yourself, take it to your accountant. There's all the assessments have been anonymized. That's the only change that's been made to it.
Thank you, Jack, that is wonderful, good job.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you also, Jason. I know that when we asked you to be treasurer, you were a little apprehensive.
And look what you've done.
And so we said, that's okay, give it a couple months, and within a couple months, I mean, you
Scared
have.
me. You told me that there was gonna be $500,000 to put a roof on this building, so I was wondering where the other $300,000 was, but.
So you've really taken your time and investigated and analyzed numbers and put it into Excel documents that are clearer, easier to read, and I don't think we've ever had anything as
I've
far
never
as
seen it.
board, to have
Very
anything like that with technology driven. And
Anybody who wants to vote me off the board, remember that when I'm sitting in those chairs, I'm going to expect reports like
Amen
this.
to that.
we all
Never.
should.
You have
And
it for life.
what's so nice about documents like this is that this is a living document. So what that means is that this document can change by second. And it should. It shouldn't be a permanent document. It should be a living document. And I know that your mom is also an accountant, retired accountant, if I'm not mistaken. And I think she kind of overseen and checked your numbers to make sure that everything was right. So tell your mom thank you so much also.
Thanks,
All right.
Mom.
So once again, great job. We appreciate it. So I think we do have a motion and we do have a second, am I correct, Madam Secretary, with the treasurer's report to?
No,
Okay, so do we have a motion? I know you cannot, sir, since you weren't here to hear it, even though
I
you did get your
motion
presentation.
To approve the treasurer's report.
It's also, I think,
With that being said, all those in favor say yay.
Yay.
Those opposed, nay. Thank you. And next, Jason, you have the floor again, sir, with the technology update.
We have not changed much with our technology since the last report. We still have our Twitter account and our Facebook account, and they've gotten a couple of posts since the last time. This video or this board meeting will be up on YouTube after a day or so. It depends on how long Google takes to process it when we're done. And, I have not had time to work on the webpage because this spreadsheet ate up about 30 hours this month.
But we know you're definitely gonna get our webpage up.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Next, we're gonna move on to signs, and I do think that we do have some pictures. We're in the process of removing old crooked, rusty signs, and replacing them with new. At the time when this board took over, there was only one pole with one-way signs going opposite. So we thought that with the circle drive, that the other side of the drive needed the exact same sign, so that somebody wouldn't get confused. So we did purchase that, even though there's not a picture, and those were put up. We also did get a sign because we are having too many deliveries being delivered up front for FedEx, UPS, USPS, and Amazon. So we're hoping that that sign will work, which I am surprised they have signs like that on Amazon, but they do. And thank you for my husband for putting up all of these signs. And then the other sign, I believe it was Mr. Snyder, who did recommend, and we did agree. Some people's treasures are not others. So we do have a sign now, it is up above the chairs. Do not place anything or chairs on chairs, please put it in a dumpster, thank you. So we hope that that will help.
I got overruled. I wanted nothing but human bottoms on chairs, please.
The step up and step down disappeared for a little bit, and thanks to Cheryl pulling out my bag, I found it in here, so that'll be up in the next couple of days, and the old one will be removed on the mailroom door there. We'll have something a little more professional looking. Beautifications and pictures that we haven't been doing too much, but as usual, we are doing other things. We do have you don't have anything, I don't think, correct? Do you have, okay, that's fine. So next we're gonna move, okay. Next we're gonna move on to the pool. We did have an issue with the pool. We were zero chlorine, absolutely zero. When J&L came out, they did not inform the board or the management company that we were zero. Well, the health department knew that we were zero because the health department comes out every week and looks at our pool. So J&L decided to come back, I believe it was 3 business days to check on it because it was low, and I happened to be here to run down to see, and they told me, and I said, then you needed to notify the board, you needed to notify Watson so that we could be doing something and checking in between because we weren't checking as board members. Because we just assumed that, the pool company would let us know if there was any abnormalities. So we did find out as board members previously, even before that randomly the filter was off. And the chlorinator is tablets of chlorine that's put into this chlorinated that feeds into the pool filtering system. And it has numbers from, I believe, 1 through 5. It was on 5 and it was being turned down to 3 or 1.
Sure.
Yes.
Sometimes totally off.
Totally off, okay. And so we asked J&L Pool, are you turning that down? And they said, no, we've been finding that it's down also and it needs to be turned, at a certain level. And they thought we were doing it and we said no. We don't know if that's why, but because of the fact that there was no chlorine in the pool, there was bacteria in the pool, and that's what closed us down. So now this board is very astute on the pool, and so is Watson Management. Thank you so much. And we were able to get it back to where it needed to be, because if you don't have the proper chlorine levels, that's what eats up the bacteria. My grandbabies were in it when we had high bacteria. They didn't have any problems with it. But we are watching, and thank you to Harold. He is up very early in the morning and he does a test strip for us. And also now I am having J&L pools send me their results in a text message with the picture. So we have that also. So we're monitoring, and then also they're texting me and I'm forwarding that to the board. I don't think you want that. And then they're forwarding me exactly what they're doing, if they're putting anything in. And so it's been good. And then in the meantime, we purchased a keyless door entry like we did here, and we did put it on the pool door so that nobody can go in there and mess with the equipment. The board does have that code. J&L Pool also has that code. The health department needs that code. I just thought of that.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna be coming out. And then Watson has that code. So we're hoping now that that will alleviate the possibly tampering with the pool filter and equipment. But like I said, we are absolutely on it. We know what pH up, pH down is. We know what phosphates are. We know what shocking is. We got it all. And Bill and I both had in-ground pools, and but I haven't opened mine in years. So we had never seen. I've never, Mark, there's no chlorine. Never. And we couldn't, and J&L, they kept saying, well, we keep putting it in, it keeps eating it up. And I'm like, how could that happen? It's shot, they put 10 bags of shock, which is huge. One day they put 16. And we're like, and they're using shock, we purchased shock, they're using shock that's more intense than ours. And we're like, how could this happen? Well, now they know.
One thing that could have been was on the rain.
Well, the rain, but
Is
We
the
didn't have any
rainwater
rain
changing?
during that time.
There was an awful lot of water going in.
It was hot.
Bacteria eats up.
Yeah, the health department did explain to me that when you have bacteria, as soon as you put the chlorine in, it eats it up. And so that's why I know you gotta keep dumping it periodically. You can't just do it one day, check the next day. You gotta do it continuously, like 2-3 times a day.
It's where you
That's what our
shots.
chlorinator ejector is. It grinds it up and sends it constantly through the
But I think
system.
it needs more,
But it
even more.
turned off,
Well,
no, it's
yeah.
turned off.
Well, that's what probably caused that.
That's right.
So we're on it. I don't think it's gonna happen again. Yes, the pool was closed down. We were informed by Watson to put a sign up because we thought the health department would put a sign up, and we did. I believe it was a day and a half.
Yeah.
That we
I
were
ran
told to
down
remove it.
It got up.
Next, we're gonna ants outside the clubhouse. We're aware that they're there. They are sprayed. We do have spray, so they were sprayed twice now, correct? Yes. Toilet in the clubhouse and the plumbing here was backed up. And so we could not find a plunger, so we purchased a plunger. We purchased some commercial grade Drano, and then I purchased a snake. And I'd like to thank Bill and Harold, and especially Harold, for getting that fixed and utilizing that. Now we do have a snake that is ours that we can use before calling out a plumber, which is expensive.
Yes.
And I just know from my business that we have to do that just periodically.
But we're gonna put a sign up.
Yes, so it is fixed, and we appreciate everything you did. And however, we did think that the toilet seal, the wax seal possibly was bad, and we did call Watson out to look at that, and they came out today, and go ahead, Barb, you were with them.
He came out and he tested both toilets numerous times for a leak, and it wasn't there. When we went to the back bathroom, that gave the front bathroom a chance to raise some water from the floor. So we went back in and there was water. He said, there's water. And he said, he stepped on the tiles. Well, the big flood that happened because somebody used our shower and it flooded from it, because I don't think it's been used in years. So I don't know what was in the drain, but he used, and we stepped on the tiles. And sure enough, every time we stepped on a tile, water would just flow out of it. So we have to do something about drying up the water underneath the tiles now. It was not the toilets, it was from the flood. And even though we had that flood water cleaned up and dry, the minute somebody stepped on those tiles, floor tiles, up comes the water. So I vote, for a while anyway, that nobody gets to use that shower until, if it's clogged or whatever caused that flood, we have to find out. So
Have you guys tested the line? Did you fill the shower up with water to see if it's going down at all?
Yeah.
Did you worry?
Bill, or Harold did, yeah.
Harold.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
he did?
working.
It
It's
went down,
working.
but I don't know if it's still there for 15 minutes with a shower, I don't know how long it was, you know what I mean?
Okay,
It goes down, but will it?
How far, and you don't know how long?
far out before it starts?
And we
Water's
don't
coming
know
out
who
quicker than it
uses
can go
the
out.
Can you close that shower?
We're gonna
Yeah,
get
we're
a
gonna-
sign.
Do you need it at all? No one uses
Really,
it.
it doesn't, the toilets are nice for people to use.
Oh, yeah.
For the shower, you can go in your own unit and shower
That's
after
right.
you want to get the
That's
plumbing
right.
out.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't wanna use a shower, a public shower when I've got one
Yeah,
That's
2
right.
minutes walk
yeah,
away.
the toilets are nice, because you have, you know,
Yeah.
you're down in the pool.
Okay, next, Lori from Watson Management Group, you're on the agenda. Yes.
Well, hello, everybody. I know I've met some of you before. I'm in the right place.
Yeah,
Put
you're
my
fine.
back to you. Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've worked at Watson Management Group 19 years now. I've been in management, property management for over 25. Mr. Watson, originally George Watson, built a lot in Munster, so we have a lot of experience with construction, maintenance. He built the original first condo association in the state of Indiana and stuff, so we go way back when with condos and that. We have currently 7 condo HOAs that we manage, 2 office building HOAs, and then Mrs. Watson owns 3 office buildings. So we have myself full-time, 2 part-time employees in the office, and then Mrs. Watson periodically, and we have our maintenance person. We know a lot of contractors, doesn't mean you can't use your contractors. We always go out to bid. We always ask for recommendations if anybody has someone that they used, and we'll get a bid from them. Trying to think of anything else to tell about myself. That's about it, married, 2 kids. One thing we did with, we called on the phone bill came in and we thought it was very high, and we questioned why the phone bill was close to $300 for 2 lines. So when we talked to them on the phone, we did get it down. We are saving about $1,400 a year on the phone bill. It's now going to be paid through the credit card, so then the cash back will go on the credit card to have more money for the association and that. So it'd be automatically paid through that. Right now, it's ACH'd out of the direct withdrawal out of the checking account. Any questions about me or Watson Management Group?
What's the phone, what phone? Is this phone?
You have to have an elevator in the phone, so
Oh.
required by the state. And then your intercom system in the front of the building, that is through a phone bill and everything. I mean, it was almost 300 and now it's down to under 165. And that, so that'll help. And every year it comes around, they always want to jack it up. When it comes in and we see the jump, we always call and negotiate. We try to do it before, you know, like AT&T, Comcast, you're always going to stay at 1 step ahead of them and that. So,
I want to make a comment.
yes.
Watson Management saw the bill, knew it was too high, and went on their own to get us that break. We didn't ask them, we didn't even know we could do that. But she's been in business for so long, she's got all that savvy and knows, you know, what
Anything to
she's
help.
gotta do. So she's saving us $1,400 a year, and thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
120 a month
Yes,
on 2
yes.
phone lines, that's
Yes,
huge.
It is,
We
that's a
appreciate
lot. One thing when we do go out to bid, you know, cheaper isn't always better because, I'll give you an example. Our office buildings, we constantly have to remodel. We have a floor guy that we've been using, he's very, very good, but his prices kept on going up and up. So we went out for bid and everything, and we used somebody else that was lower, and it just, the floor was not that good. So, you know, cheaper isn't always better. We get references and everything, but at the same time, you know, you've got to watch who the worker is and how well the work is before you use them and stuff. Any other questions?
And so have you gotten everything, I know that it's been a struggle for you to get everything you needed from resource management. Do you feel as though you
I
have all
feel
the-
the one report I just got from them, that last one, I think that will finish it. That was the April one. They didn't give it to us originally because they didn't balance with the bank, and you could still get financial stuff without balancing the bank. So we know what was spent, and what was collected. I know some of them, we have 5 units still that owe, which I emailed to you today. We've called and stuff like that, but that was ones that, you know, they didn't give us much information. We had to get the ones that had credits that said they paid and they had to bring in proof. PPNW will not give us anything. I mean, nothing. Resource is a little bit better than them, I'd have to say, but they say that PPNW didn't give them all the stuff. So it's like,
Well, they sure didn't let us know that,
I know.
because there was an attorney involved at the time, and they could have gotten whatever document
I
they
know,
wanted.
I know.
And they told us at a meeting where 5 of us sat, oh no, we got everything we needed from them.
Yeah,
I
they
think we're
did
gonna
say
get the
that.
best we can, I just don't think like the accounts payable and stuff, I don't have any, other than the photocopies, I don't know what they do with the original bills, why would they wanna keep them?
So you don't have original bills, invoices, so you need that.
Well, I mean, we have
You should have,
copies.
it's ours.
I know, I
Yes.
don't understand why they're keeping all of it.
So,
I mean, if we would turn over an HOA, I would have the books all finalized, not balanced with the bank, because the bank statement always comes in a week after, at the end of the month. But you would give them everything, all the accounts payable, I don't have any old accounts payable, any 18, other than, copies from October on. But 17, 16, none of that, we have none of that. Just like the NIPSCO thing, we have nothing to go on.
and you said you have no invoices from when?
I have photocopies of October 1st on, but from September, the last fiscal year,
Okay.
we don't have any bills. They have minutes from PP, and W, they have some notes, some complaint stuff, but no invoicing or anything. No, it's so unusual.
No, it's very unusual, and it's a management company's responsibility in their contract to make sure that they do get all the documents from the previous management company, and that they deliver all the
So with
documents.
PP&W, were they hostile when everything changed over?
Yes.
Was that why they don't wanna,
Yeah.
why would you hold on to it?
Well, they were told to by some board members, I'm just gonna be honest.
Okay,
Because we
okay,
both have heard that.
okay.
Past board members told them, do not give them anything.
Yeah.
They're not legal. Yeah.
And they still at times say we're not legal.
Anybody else have any questions? No? Well, I'm happy to work here, it's a beautiful, I like to see the pool looking nice right now. Now, I'm sure it didn't look bad before, but I did learn a lot about pools.
Yeah.
I talked to the health department a lot.
Yeah.
And we appreciate
Yes,
that.
we do.
It's something else that if we could, when you talk to AT&T again, Lori, would you mind, we have spaghetti wires, and I'm gonna send some pictures.
Is it AT&T for sure, or it's not Comcast?
No, it's AT&T.
No, I think it's, AT&T is in,
Comcast should be coax, it shouldn't be.
AT&T is in the AT&T room, you have to have keys to get in there.
So is it
AT&T.
Dish and Coke?
It would be Comcast,
That I think is,
Comcast, that's
somebody
I
else.
think it's capable.
It's cable.
Where's it at? And the only thing that's hard about that, when we call, for other associations, when we try to call,
Yeah.
they'll always ask for an account number.
Yeah.
And of course, we don't have an account number. Well, who's the owner? There's multiple owners.
Or TID. Well, don't they answer you with the tax identification number?
Well, AT&T for the phones here, but if it's not Comcast, we don't have any Comcast here for the association, so I don't have an account number. The homeowners might have account
Oh.
numbers. That's the only problem we run into.
I have
It's like,
Xfinity, Comcast, I can give you my account number.
I can, and if you think that's what it is there some stuff
Do
out
you
here
know
that's
what it is?
exposed?
There's 5 boxes.
There, you're talking right by the store.
Oh, is that like their
Oh,
own
that's
field and
Comcast.
they can't shut the
That's
box?
Yeah, yeah, it's called Comcast.
He said it's Comcast.
I'm sure it is.
But
Yeah,
Dish is
big old
there too.
splitters.
I do know Dish is
I
there
do,
too.
I guess it could be Dish, but it's
Yes.
big old splitters of coax, so it's some sort of.
I have some numbers from another condo we manage, and they had boxes like this and the stuff was like this. So they finally put in bigger boxes, we finally, after probably 2 years. Well, now the stuff is like this, the box is like that, the stuff is like this. I mean,
It's crazy.
they don't take out the old, what's the problem, I think, is they don't take out the old stuff when they put in the new stuff, so then it's just more and more and more wires.
Yeah.
And then,
Because I was down there when the gentleman was down there, and maybe it was Comcast. He was there with the unit owner, and I asked him, I said, can you do anything? He said he put in a work order. He took my number. He said he'd let me know when the work order, and then whenever I walked away, they thought I walked away. The unit owner said, do not listen to her. She will not be on that board long. You don't have to do that. I'm like, yes, you need to listen to me. You need to fix that.
That's when everybody started their stuff and.
well, we have one number for Comcast that, when we had that done a couple of years ago, I don't know if this gentleman from Comcast is still in the area, but maybe he could, if the number's still good, I can make a call. Where is it on the building here? In the back here?
It's in the garage.
Right after you walk.
We'll show you when we leave.
Okay.
So next, we're gonna move on to the emergency light and the battery backup. And Jason, I know that you did go to Battery University, and there is such a thing, believe it or not. And we found out, we were told that we did not test those lights, and we did test them as board members, because we each took a floor, since we each live on one. And so do you wanna explain the voltage and how those work?
So there are 6-volt batteries in each of those emergency lights, and they're
Two of them.
two, yeah, and they're wired in parallel to make them last longer. They're supposed to be replaced. Well, I didn't see a hard and fast rule, but I know that we usually have to replace about every 3 years at work. I've seen dates written on some of them that are all around 10 years. So some of the batteries are very old. The quote that we got, or going to Amazon and looking for batteries, it's going to be about $30 to put batteries in each of those boxes. Whereas we could actually replace the entire box with an LED one that's brand new and should run for 90 minutes for about $30. The problem with that, of course, is the boxes are gigantic and the wallpaper goes around them, so we would be having a bare spot of wall if we were to do that. And the existing conduits might not line up exactly, so we probably have to have a licensed electrician install them and tie them into the existing building electric. But since it's approximately the same cost, but then with the addition of an electrician, it's probably worth it to modernize those lights, is my opinion.
When we're talking about how the emergency lights went out during the blackout we had for, what, 12 hours, it was rumored and I heard that the board wasn't taking good care of these lights. They went out. Well, I didn't know anything about it, but I knew that we were testing them. We tested them just that day when they came on and stayed on for an hour and a half. They were on when I went out, you know. And the point of the matter is, we didn't do that. We weren't not doing our diligent duty. We tested them, but they only last for so long.
Well, we learned that, and Jason, I think you might have forgotten, because we did look at the voltage and, you know I have emergency lights in my building, and they only last so long also, so
They're only expected to last 45 minutes to 90.
To 90.
But we got blamed for them going out. They were
How long are
saying-
the new ones now?
We don't have new ones.
I mean, how?
So they all, when I looked at them, they were all almost went off at the same time. So
Yeah.
they did last an hour and a half. And the point is if you want something to last longer than that, it's a battery. They're small batteries. Nothing's gonna last longer than that with the space. You just have to get a generator.
Now, the existing light boxes, the recommendations that I saw online say that you're supposed to test them down to 0 once a year.
Yeah.
The existing ones do not have a test button that does that, but the new light systems do, where you would press it like 4 times or something, and then it runs till the battery's dead and then recharges, so you can actually time how long they will run. We can't do that with our existing lights.
Because they have to have electricity to recharge them.
Yeah.
Is the issue unless you have a generator. So we did look at that. We know that what
We
our
haven't got a
options
final
are.
solution, but we are looking at it.
We
The
do
new
have
ones don't last
options.
any longer, right? The new ones still last an hour and a half.
They're
right?
just
Yeah, they just have
small
smaller
batteries.
batteries because they run on LEDs
Yeah,
instead
so
of.
they still last the
fluorescent
same time.
It's still less.
90
minutes
It's just
at most.
LED are brighter and smaller and sleeker looking too.
Yeah.
For this, and
It's
cheaper.
made for you just to get out for fire. You should be out in 15 minutes. Now you got a problem.
Yeah,
It's not made to stay for hours.
right.
So thank you for that. And then the parking lot light, we're aware of the fact that that is flickering. And Barb, do you want to give a
It
report on that?
flickers, and I called the gentleman who put it in, he said he was gonna look at it, and, you know, sometimes they'll come out and look at things, and I don't get apprised that they were out, and I don't know if it's still out. Last night it was on, and I think the night I looked at it before, is it still
that?
flickering, or is it on?
I think it came because this last 3 nights in a row it's been on, not flickering at all.
So maybe he came, but the light has been on.
Did you get an invoice from Ileana Sign?
Not yet, no.
So maybe
No,
we
we
need
paid them, but they,
No,
no,
not
not
coming
recent,
up,
not
not
recently,
this
not
time, no.
recently.
So maybe we need to call and see if they did come out.
slowly in the beginning and speeds up and closes and shuts.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's okay.
Nobody's gonna get their hand chopped
Banging,
off.
and no banging. I can imagine the people that live right up there underneath. I mean, mine bangs because I'm so close to the fan, and they'll jump out of bed.
Well, I'm surprised nobody got their hand broke.
I wonder if he could come out and look at that one, now that I think about it. The other one on both the north and south garage, they bang when the fans are there, they literally bang too.
Well,
Take
if
a look at those
any
door
door
closures.
closure can be adjusted.
Yeah, can you have them come out and
Yeah.
look at those, please?
Thank
Um,
you.
mhm. So where are they at on the building?
We'll show you when we look at
Okay,
that, yeah.
okay, okay.
You're- And then the garbage pickup before 7, thank you for resource management, they did have that later, however, we did ask for a special pickup and they did not charge us for 4th of July, so we wouldn't be without a Friday pickup. And ever since then, it's back to the before 6:30 sometimes and definitely before 7, so we know that. We did ask Lori if she would please contact them to get that a little later. That is a little tough when you have the service drive and you have the beeping when they back up and
Yeah.
just the clanging. AT&T cleanup boxes, we discussed that, so thank you. Announcements, we are in the process of getting bids for windows. We are still waiting for one more bid for that. We are also looking at, the 2 that I did walk around with, I asked if we could have owners come in and depending on how many windows, I know that definitely I would want 4, but however many windows that unit owners want replaced, then that would bring our costs down, and they both said absolutely.
And they would bring the cost down to the owners, they would reduce their price.
It would bring the cost down to the HOA and the
And the
owners
owners.
also, so I think that's something that's important,
Do we know when we're looking at doing that, so that
Well, I
owners
need
have
to
time
get,
to budget for themselves?
no, but I need to get a ballpark price to kind of let owners know. I think they would want to know that before they would maybe even buy into it or think about it, so.
I just brought it up to my wife, and she's like, it's not in the budget right now, but if we're waiting till spring, then, so
Yeah,
I
exactly.
figure other owners might be in the same situation.
Sure.
Mine was about 2 years ago, $750 a window.
So if you would
You
know,
know,
yeah.
the bulk is $350 per, you know.
And then I do know that at the last meeting that we were approached to the fact that the end units, depending on where you lived on north and south, all north end units, the small thin windows, do not have any of the strips in them. And the south do have strips. I removed mine, they were warped and just horrific, and then they said that they did get approval to have the north without strips. We could not find that. So those of you who do not have strips and who have mentioned it, that half of the building are allowed to not have strips, would you please give us documentation on that and when that was approved? And I don't know why you would discriminate against one half of the building, but I'd like to have that, please. Thank you, so we can address that. And then also we do have a new marine water, grade waterproof box for the emergency and fire. Thank you, Jason, for showcasing the pictures. The box is underneath here that was originally down there. When I went to go look at the box to find out what size I needed to order a new box, because my grandkids thought that that was toys. And so I would assume that, that box has been opened more than once just because kids think that's toys. So when I went to go do it, there was blankets and other items in there that were water damaged, and it looked like it had been there literally for almost a year because it turned almost like a pink color, the rain, and we did dry out the blankets. And we do now have a marine grade waterproof box that does state that yes, it is a first aid kit and it's identified, and I don't think any kids would want to attempt to get in there at that point, but of course my little ones might try to, but they won't be able to. It's not an easy accessible box. We're going to have a wonderful owners social gathering, and thank you, Jason, for the high quality graphics on that, the cookout meet and greet. So once again, we want to remind everybody that
This
is
little chopped
posted.
off word was not being nice, and I was frustrated at that time, so.
So that is August 18, 2019, and Laura, you are invited if you would like to come. So please, if you do have a lawn chair, if you could bring it, or a chair, that's something that will be limited, and a side dish. There will be beverages, and we're gonna provide hot dogs and hamburgers, and the board will grill out for you and serve you. for sure about cleaning it up, but I think we'll have to do that too. What do you guys think?
I think we'll put names in a hat and pull it, who's gonna do cleaning.
There you go. The weeds. Yes, sir.
Well, you say they're gonna bring, side dishes, is there like a sign-up sheet so everyone,
We can make one,
idea.
put
sure.
one on the board so 18 coleslaws don't show up?
Sure.
That's a good idea.
You know, somebody's making cookies.
And then also the weeds. It's just a horrific year for weeds. And yes, we do know that we do have more weeds than what we've ever had, and it is because of the rain. I mean, it's just, even in my business, it's just, they're terrible. So we can't even plant flowers. We have been waiting, we have a couple dead planters here, and we don't know why, but they're saturated with water. And when we think we're about ready to plant new flowers, it just keeps raining. So we're gonna cut those out, but we have the same problem with a couple of planters, and we can't figure it out because they're identical planters. Some are holding water and some are dry as ever. And you can see the ones that are really working well. So rain with the garage floor flooding, and the mailroom, and the entryways on the north and south, and flooding into the compactor room, flooding into the into the mailroom, of course, but flooding into the elevator shaft is something that definitely needs to be looked at. And I know that I think my husband had said, we probably need to get somebody to scope it and see what's going on.
Is it what you're draining the floor, draining the garage?
We do have a sump pump, we do have two drains,
Two
but
sump pumps.
we'll get water this deep. And then what do they call it, there's sewer drains. We have 3 of those on property that I'm aware of. Within 10 minutes, I was watching this one over here, it's just this deep, and then it just goes into the mailroom, and then it's just, and everybody's like, well, it's okay, it'll just disappear after a while, it's been doing that for years. I'm like, I don't think that's normal.
Well,
So-
I'm pretty sure that when I was reading the old board meetings for fun, I found that the elevator flooded and cost $10,000 one time, so we really don't want to
No, we
just-
need to address that, so.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, because I know my husband had mentioned companies that would come out and scope it.
Well, we use Rauer Plumbing a lot.
Okay.
They're very good on figuring out sources of problems and stuff. But if it's something, I don't know in regards to, if your manholes are filled up, is it not going into the street storm drain?
So it's probably
What
runs
the
to the property.
street's doing, which I've heard, is they're diverting the water with massive rains. And they're not collecting it all, so they're letting other areas drain it, correct? What my solution was when I was in the north side of Chicago, we had 2 pipes that pump the water out to the street. But when it rained tremendously hard, especially in Chicago, the tunnel wasn't open yet. The water would come through everything, through the toilets, through everything. So what we did is we got flaps, or fringes, or flins, or whatever. So when the water goes out, it will go this way. So the water tries to come back, it closes. So you'll have no backup. Now, some cities don't allow that because they're gonna kick all the water again. But that's something I thought we should look into.
So maybe we need to have a meeting with somebody from the Hammond Sanitary, because they are actually running, so.
Yeah.
It's not the town of Munster that does their stormwater,
No.
so.
I know,
I'm
like,
willing to
for
delegate
example,
this to somebody else.
our parking lot at Placerville Car right by Red Lobster, when we have a massive rain, it's just, and we're talking real bad, where the ground's been saturated and we have a lot of rain, our parking lot will get almost a foot of water. And then within, the rain stops and someone opened the gates, and then it just goes down.
That's what this does.
So that, to me, that says something outside is, they're shutting stuff, like you said, and
Your
they're
drains,
diverting.
everybody connects.
We just need to know.
And if
Maybe
it's
we
full,
can
then it's
open
nowhere to
it
go.
for 6 months.
That's vicious. Whatever seats thrown up.
He's that one by the door, it takes it for a while, then it just stops,
It just,
Like-
they stop,
they turn it off.
they all stop.
And they might be needing a camera just to see if there's
Yeah.
any problems.
Yeah.
But maybe we need to understand how it works before we even bring it in.
Do you have any blueprints of this building where any of the storm drains, any of that stuff runs?
There
On
are,
the Carroll board, do we have blueprints?
should have them in the office.
In the office, but I'm not sure. if
Teresa
it's
is
the
with the
drains.
engineering company.
Well, it should be a plot plan, and they should have the drains on there, and the plot plan.
There
They
is
should,
a rolled up thing of,
grab it one day and bring it in the office, and
Okay.
put it on the drafting table and look at it, see if we can figure it out.
And the north side of the garage has been bad, I was told. If you look at, there was a grate there, like the garage is under, that grate has been blacktopped over and the sewer's covered over. So that means it got a bad end. When you
yeah,
left,
that
the
is
water's
terrible.
in, when the door opens, it's like a lake, it just.
There was that much water that came in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming down that hill, everyone has
It's like
supposed to be a
Niagara
grate there, but no, it's got right to the door, wait till you open that door, and here it
That's what we
comes.
need to see, if it needs to be, uncovered.
Reopened, yeah.
And then the manhole is gone too. It's like on this. on this
We
side.
see that.
There was,
Take it from
they
that.
poured concrete in it.
Right.
No, it's
Line up to the door the other day.
Blacktop.
Blacktop.
It's not concrete, that's the sewer they put blacktop in. They poured concrete, isn't that right? What did they put in the grid?
Asphalt.
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 Well, then they concreted over it?
No,
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 it's
no,
asphalt.
but you got a slim layer of concrete here, the blacktop's that wide where the grade was, and you got concrete, then you got blacktop again.
Why did they do
I
that?
think
Do
the
you know,
concrete
Carol?
holds a,
I think they thought it would solve the flooding in the garage, and that's actually a building code violation.
Correct.
So how long ago was that done, do you know?
Years ago.
Okay, well, something to add to the strategic plan to get
Yeah.
started.
it was a
That's
drain,
all.
it'd be perfect, water go right there, they
Yeah,
come right
when
down
you,
that hill.
when you excavate, you would hear
Nowhere
a
to go.
clink clink, because the grate ran.
Just the grate was
the
there,
length-
Yeah.
there's drain tiles that run underground out to the.
Yeah.
So the garage door, we thought the garage door was broke on the north side and Barb called and thank goodness the garage door company said, listen, it's Saturday, we're gonna charge you a lot of money, we're busy. Can you go down and see if you can realign, what did they call it?
The lasers?
Just the pull
Guys,
No, realign the chain.
The net-
And so I text Jason, I said, hey, can you meet me in the garage, you're tall, we gotta, he went in there and he knew exactly what to do, and so we all know now as board members, we showed
The
everybody
latch was
what
just
to do.
disengaged.
It was
Oh,
engaged, that's what it was,
okay,
engaged
okay.
the,
why do you know they have
chain.
the photo eyes and?
Yeah, engaged
But the
Yeah.
funny part is I came home and then I went back out about a half hour later. Well, the door was open when I came home from, I don't know where it was. And so I went over there and I pushed the switch and pushed the button and the door came down. And it did fine. Half hour later, I went out to go to the pharmacy for Bill. I came back and the door was open again. So I went and I switched the switch back on, somebody opened it and put the switch to hold it, and then I pushed the button, and then that chain just kept going round and round
wasn't
and
hooked to the
round
door.
and round.
Right, yeah.
And I said, I don't know what to do. You know, I'm not getting on no ladder and going up there and sticking my fingers in it. But then I called the door people. They called me back the next day because the door stayed open because of this all night. And they said, you know, you don't want us to come out and spend that if you can do it yourself. You told us what to do. I told her, she told him, and bingo, that's done.
So some shout outs, we'd like to give.
Actually, a real quick question,
Oh,
because
go
I am
ahead.
a brand new condo owner.
All right,
If I was just an owner and that door is not opening, and so I pop the chain and lift it up, who do I call? Do I call Watson and let them know, or what,
Yeah.
what is the proper
Yeah.
procedure?
yeah, you always call the management company.
Okay, and then they would contact us.
Yeah.
All right.
And on the weekend, we call your number and it'll transfer to your cell phone or give us a cell phone number.
You have my cell phone number, well, Cheryl does,
Okay,
and yeah,
But-
I can always give it to you, I think the other board can have
I
it.
think the board needs to have
Yeah.
it for
Yeah.
emergency.
You said for emergency, I didn't.
Yeah, for
and I
emergency
thought to
after
me
hours and
that-
stuff,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll pass that along to everybody
Okay.
then, okay?
You have the number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. I'll pass it in the group text so that you have everybody else's number so that when they do
Yes.
contact you or
You know who
call
it
you, you'll
is.
know who it is.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Ray. He's doing the recycles. We said that, no, we can have somebody else do it. He enjoys doing it. So thank you, Mr. Scully, for taking out our recycles. We appreciate
Puts
that.
up the flag.
Put up the
Put
flag.
up and
Yeah.
take down.
Mark, my husband, putting up the signs. The door stopper had been broken on the mailroom for a long period of time. It is a new one. Yes, it does work. You flick it down and it's one, which is really nice. You don't have, you just use the top of your foot to release it. So there's a little thumb, like mechanism on there, which is really nice to release it. So if your hands are full, you can do that as you're walking through. The keyless lock, thank you, Mark, for putting that on, and also the signs. Harold and Bill, you cleaned out the pool filter room. I know that there's still stuff out here. We were waiting to see if somebody was gonna come and grab that for some scrap, and then that's why it's here. Yes. So thank you for
I
that.
heard the umbrella on there, I'm not sure. I mean, I probably should have brought that up, we got new umbrellas, everybody hopefully noticed for the two that have failed this year.
Can we take this umbrella here and slide it down there?
The yellow one, yeah.
This
The
one's
yellow one's
still
already
good.
down there.
He
The
did
good
take it.
one's down
The
there?
good one's down there.
So this
Yeah,
is
the bad one is in the pile with the gutters, so I wasn't sure if we wanted that in the dumpster or what you wanted to do with it.
They look nice.
They do look nice.
It's very nice, and it gives a nice pop of color. So Harold, Jason, and Cheryl checking the pool levels and adding chemicals and being pretty diligent, and Bill also with that while we're trying to figure out what was wrong. Harold, thank you for doing that every AM, we appreciate that. Harold working on the rust stains on the porch, I know that you're gonna get more chemicals and work on that a little bit more, so I appreciate it. But you did get some off, so, without using the muriatic acid.
Yeah.
That's what my husband said, just put it on there, go wait a second.
Get rid of the ants.
But then,
It could discolor and make it look really.
Right.
or hit it
Take
more.
the top off. It's got a layer like a
There's a
ceramic
seal on
layer.
top, right?
Yeah, you don't want to mess that up.
CRL.
Yeah, try that.
Oh, there you go.
CRL.
So, once again, there's been, the power washing and the blower, that's our commercial grade one. We have no problem, Mark and I, donating that to be used. Bill picking up sticks as you walk around, your little dog there, and, taking care of the pool also, and putting down some weed prevention. We appreciate that. Barb and Cheryl for watering the plants and deadheading and trying to maintain them and keeping them alive. We didn't have too much success, but I think it does look better when it's done. And Cheryl and Jason for fixing the garage floor. So once, oh yeah, I did say that earlier, so thank you again, Harold. Shout out to you for the plumbing in the clubhouse here, we appreciate it. If you want email communication via email from Harrison Heights Board of Directors, please provide your email. That's the best way to get everything. And I did get your card, and I know Barb, so you're on my list, and I'm gonna send you previous.
We have your
Yeah,
email.
we already have
business card.
Is that the one you want us to use?
Yeah, that's the only one I use. I
So,
remember how to say
do you want past? There's a whole bunch.
Is everyone
No, I
aware
just, we'll
that,
go from,
Go from here, yes, that's
is
fine.
Here
everyone
for
aware that
the
if
past,
you
I
give us
can't
your
change.
email address, you're gonna automatically get the board minutes when they're completely finished?
Everybody's here.
Can't
We have
change
to-
it.
Oh, everybody here, okay.
So once again, we are only board members when we are at meetings, so please respect that, and when we have a quorum. Otherwise, we are unit owners just like yourself. So what we ask is that you either email questions or, call or leave a message, that type of thing. And let us enjoy our families and, the beautiful grounds and the condo association like you do. Committees, I know that we do not have anything on the welcome packet. I know Barb's been trying to get somebody to help her with that. It's just been a busy year. Gardening, we'd really like for somebody to help with that. If you really think you have a green thumb, feel free to deadhead and take away some weeds in the flower thing, whatever you would like to do. Refurbishing the tennis court, I know Jason already has somebody, but if you're more than willing to help with that, there are some ideas that are out there to refurbish that into a multifunctional space, because so many HOAs and, have that type of a problem, that big green eyesore. And they've done things with it, and it's relatively inexpensive, so we would really like to see.
No roller coaster?
roller hockey.
Oh, there you go, roller hockey. So we'd like to, eventually get something like that done, and so we can get more use out of it.
Basketball.
Yes, for sure. And then social, Barb and I's on it. If anybody wants to help with this meet and greet and help us organize or get some ideas, you're more than welcome to communicate with that with us. Does anybody, any other board member have anything under other?
Oh, yeah, I did. I got
Oh,
this
there you
from
go.
one of our owners in the building. She brought it to me and said, what a great idea. As you probably noticed in the last few months, our garbage can, or garbage bin downstairs is overflowing a lot. And it's been to the point where board members have got together and put it into garbage to take it to the other side. It just gets pretty horrendous, but she
There's been
brought
a lot of
this.
moving in and out.
Habitat for Humanity, and their phone number, if you wanna write it down, is 219-972-3000. And they would happily take the appliances, the cabinet, the furniture, the doors, the windows, the lighting, the home decor, seasonal decorations, tools, flooring, lawnmowers, and bicycles, and much more. And it would go to a good organization. And anybody that wants to do that in the very near future, I got a 50% coupon.
Well, that's if you purchase something though.
No,
Do they pay you for your stuff? No.
exclude appliances and items.
It's if you
Oh,
purchase
maybe
something.
that's
a big
You
purchase.
donate,
Yeah.
it's a nonprofit.
Oh, that's
It's a
if you
nonprofit.
donate.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty neat. And where's their does anybody know where their
Hammond.
restore is? It's in Hammond.
The closest one to us, there's one in Maryville too, but the closest to us is in Hammond.
I got one in Griffith and in Maryville.
Yeah, there's one in Hammond,
Okay.
Calumet.
So keep it in mind, if you're gonna clean out your closets, or you're going to get new furniture and dispose of your old, we are no longer gonna be able to take all that down. We had box spring, and we had mattresses, and we had tables and chairs, and it just was horrendous on what we had yeah. It's just too hard on us to keep going down there and removing all the stuff people leave.
Well, there's a Goodwill store in, at least one in every town.
There's one
Right
way
down the
out back.
street.
Yeah,
One
one
in
right
Maryville.
in Lansing there.
They'll take
Well, I
any-
had to stop a unit that was removing her sister's stuff, and I finally had to stop them and say, put it in your car. But I'll just get it in. I said, no more, put it in your car.
Right. Yes.
So, with that being said, we're gonna open it up then to the, unit owners, and, I'm gonna read a statement that we always do, unit owner comment decorum. The board of directors recognizes the value and importance of owners' fair and orderly comments. You must sign in to speak, and thank you for those who have. You must state your name and unit number. Comments and or questions must be addressed to the president. No one can address or question individual board members, only the board as a whole. Discussion must be kept to issues considered by the board of directors and not individual board members. No disparaging remarks, heckling, outbursts, or attacks about the board of directors or the unit owners or their motives will be allowed. The president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a person's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personal, directive, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. To be clear, the board will treat you with respect and return. Expect everyone here to do the same. I will keep this meeting professional and orderly. With that being said, we do have a couple individuals. If you'd like to, whoever wants to come up first, have some questions or you'd like to speak.
Thank you. Okay, one of my things on my short list is,
You have to say your name and
oh,
unit
my
number.
name is Karen Little, I'm in 305. And, one of my things was the garage doors, because I go see my daughter who lives ways north of here, and I come home at 11 or 12 at night, and when I come home, the garage door is standing open. I pull in and push the button, and it shuts. But it's happened twice at like midnight, and it makes me a little uneasy as I drive in, so apparently you're addressing that, but nothing was off the track, it was just stuck. And so when I pushed the button, it went down.
Yeah.
So anyway, and my other thing is the trees in the front.
Mhm.
I just had to take a tree down at my house in Lansing, because it was causing a problem for the neighbors. And I'm noticing that the trees out in the front have not been trimmed for a long time. There's a lot of debris laying there. And with all the other things that we've done to improve the looks, that looks a little bit shabby when somebody comes in and parks in the front driveway, which most of you people don't do.
Yeah.
So, I just wondered if you were gonna address that, because some of those trees, especially the ones on the inner part of the driveway, they need to be trimmed. They have to be kept small.
Yeah, I think it was.
I believe those were up to the landscaping Did you do a walk around with them?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did, and that is something that's behind. And it is gonna be the circle drive that's gonna be trimmed, a couple that are leaning into
And
something
one
else
was
to be
actually in the
removed.
drive one morning.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
That's what the other
it's
way.
been laying there for
And
days and
everything.
days.
Yeah.
The driveway, all of everything's gonna be trimmed, so
But-
that is on the
yeah,
list, and
and-
that is something I
And the
really
big
think we need
maples
to.
too, because I've got one
Get out.
that's, pretty soon a squirrel's gonna be able to jump on my balcony.
They have to be all
Making
cleaned out.
friends. Yeah.
What's that?
They have to be pruned out.
Yeah,
It should have been
it should have been topped off.
every 5 years, it should be,
Yeah,
but it's never been done, so they're just.
and I know a really good company that does it if you need an idea.
Thank you.
I wanna make a motion to approve that the landscaping company, can come out and trim the trees and take care of the mess out in the front of the,
So it'd be trimming the trees, removal of the stumps,
Right.
removing trees and bushes.
That'd be a tree
Yes.
service, not your regular landscape.
Our landscaper's doing it, he gave us a
So
call.
he can do trees?
Yes.
He does trees also?
Uh-huh, and he gave us a really, yeah, nice, trim trees, remove stumps, and bushes, and remove bushes and trees. And also removing.
I thought we had already approved that before these, bushes got cut down.
I don't remember doing it once,
Okay.
we do it twice. Okay, I'm taking to approve, we need a second, then,
Put your comment.
we have a second?
I was thinking
All those in favor, yay? Those
Yay.
opposed, nay? Yeah, I don't think we did, so, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. David Schneider, 401. First of all, thank you, Cheryl, for explaining. Yeah, my comments have to do with the pool. Thank you for explaining the connection between the chlorine and the bacteria. It's probably been an education for the board as well as Lori, as well as the homeowners. I'm approaching this from a bit of a different situation. Our grandkids came out weekend before last, which obviously was the hottest weekend of the year. We see them, they come out once a year to swim from Rockford. We heard from 2 owners that there might be an issue Thursday evening. And that's when the whole situation began to, I guess, start. And the reason I approach it this way is because our son Joel, when he was in college, worked for the health department. And his responsibility was to go around and test. He'd go around throughout Lake County. Every Tuesday he would come here. Those of you who've lived here remember when he would come out. And he'd go basically all over Lake County, and he would test for bacteria. He'd test for chlorine and then bacteria. And if there were issues, he would make a recommendation to, if necessary, to shut down the pool. And at one point, he made a recommendation to shut down the Cedar Lake. Now, you can imagine how well that went with the people in Cedar Lake. So, you know, it sounds like it may have been a lapse on the part of JNL, possibly not doing their job. I don't know. It's just an unfortunate situation, but it sounds like with Harold now testing every,
We all learned from that.
well,
You know me, I love the pool, and that was bad. Now I know, and I.
Well, I
do it
know-
3 times a day, go check it.
when I walked in to 401 last week and I saw you at 6:15, I realized you were coming down to test
Yeah.
the pool.
Yeah.
So,
I had it at noon.
what?
He had the
I
new-
it at noon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one time, we were doing it 3 times a
So-
3
day.
times a day
It
before
sounds
before they came back out.
It sounds like the board is being very proactive on this, and I appreciate it. It's too late for our grandchildren
Yeah.
this year. But I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. The only thing I would suggest, Diane printed off earlier today, and you may want to give it to JNL, State Department of Health, swimming pool rules, and then you may want to keep this for your files, but thank you for explaining
No,
the
exactly.
relationship. It's just, the issue of bacteria affects us all.
Sure
And it was,
Yeah.
from our standpoint, and because Joel had tested
Yeah.
previously, that was how we felt. We were
Sure.
concerned, but
Yeah.
thank you for allowing me to speak.
And then it's something else that I forgot to say, there was a lack of communication to the management company and to this board also. For whatever reason, the health department contacted PP&W, by the time PP&W contacted resource management, by the time resource management contacted Lori, it was almost literally a business week.
Yes, it was-
Yeah.
yes, you are correct.
Yes,
Yes.
that has
Yes.
definitely
So
been
we paid
corrected.
$700 in January, so the worst they should have been is sending it to resource management. There's no excuse for not sending it.
Well, they have now, the health department has my number, even my cell number,
Yes,
All right.
yeah, so
yeah, so that
it's
was,
corrected.
nice. So, okay, was there anybody else, I believe, who signed up? Carol Corp? Yes, if you want to come up and state your name, even though I just, and your unit number.
Carol 414. I had a couple of things I wanted to bring up, and unfortunately, a few things have come up that I think need to be addressed. First of all, the building when it opened had aluminum wiring, with aluminum wiring, and that caused problems. We had to have electricians come in and do something to the electrical outlets. And a lot of people, when they move in, are not aware of it. Now, when my husband and I bought 414, we had copper put in. But Jason, you had brought something up, and I just wanted you in particular, because you talked about the wiring, I wanted you aware of the issue that we had. And that was code at that time. So, right, another thing, and Jason, I provided the Dixon bylaws. You made the statement that you put the roof and the replacement reserves together. We had an amendment, and I don't have my Dixon bylaws with me, but I think you need to check that because it was set up to have the two accounts. So I'm just going by.
But you need to give us that, because we've looked. So if you could give that to, and we even paid money to go down to Lake County to have it all copied, what is filed down there. So maybe it was amended and nobody filed it. And we can only,
I know the amendment I'm talking about.
but
so,
if you could give it to us.
because I also checked, I paid money to.
Did you find it?
I know that the amendment in 1976 had something to do with those accounts. So, I'm going based on memory.
Yeah, but if it's not, if it's in the bylaws, you need to, if you could show it, because we went and we copied them, we can't find it. Do you remember, I mean, you're good at remembering the bylaws too, do you remember that?
This is
No.
an amendment.
I understand, I
And I did not
understand,
get the
but if
amendments.
it's not,
Yes, you did. Okay, I agree, but.
Not until after I had already moved in, yeah.
yes, yes, but if it's not filed, and you're aware of that too, if it was voted here, and you can say, be with me here, Mr. Schneider, if it was voted here, and if it wasn't filed with the Lake County Courthouse, it's not a valid
This
amendment.
particular amendment wasn't, I checked. I just from memory, and I'm trying to go right now from memory.
So
But
if you could give it to us.
also, our Dixon bylaws, just the basketball issue came up a long time ago. People didn't want it. They wanted to come with the basketball coming over the fence. But according to our Dixon bylaws, you have to have 75% in order to change any of our amenities. So, and I'm pretty sure it was 75%. You can go double check that. And like
I was
people had
school for rock
amenities.
basketball.
Care
less.
If we
I think it's a great idea.
I would be curious whether if we keep the function as a tennis court, if we could add a function of basketball courts to it, so the amenity would not actually be changed.
Well, the pickleball, I think, could,
Okay.
that's
a hot thing nowadays.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
They brought that up, and that would fit on the, all right, the Hawthorns.
Amenities, amenities,
We have,
Paddle tennis.
but it's an amenity.
Anything else, man?
we have had board members who think it's their personal property, and this particular board member years ago wanted to park on the other side of the driveway. So on his own, he had people come out and trim the hawthorns up. And I had John Bachman, who does the landscaping at Purdue Cal, come out and talk to us about some of the property. And he pointed out that, and if you go look at the hawthorns, they have these needles, thorns. And he said, you need to trim that. That is a hazard because they're at eye level. But because this board member wanted to park in the shade, he had the hawthorns trimmed up, and now it makes it difficult to top them, and they're growing into the trees. And this is what happens when we have people treat the property like their own. But you talked about, going out and trimming, just wanted to make you aware that, like I said, this isn't what I wanted to bring up, but these things came up, so, wanted to be sure okay, so now I can get on to what I wanted to talk about.
Can I interrupt before? No, I did want to bring up just on the reserves. In the past, I've looked through the financial documents that were done. The reserves were divided into two funds, which was reserves roof and reserves replacement, which I was unclear on what replacement actually meant. But it is absolutely this board's intention to divide the reserves back up by different purposes.
But it won't be replaced.
No.
No.
If it's,
No.
some for the parking lot, some for the pool, we will have this strategic.
It should be capital projects, I would imagine.
With
Right,
our permission,
capital
we
projects.
spent over $23,000 to pay for the concrete, to replace the sidewalks that were in bad shape.
Okay.
And when we replaced the elevator motor, that was, I think, over $7,000. And then the lights in the laundry room and the garage, and that saved us a lot of money, that was just over $6,000. And that came out of the replacement.
Okay.
So, I wanted to address those things coincidentally. And I was going to start out with reading a statement that was made by the board on one of your cost analysis. We have not spent any HOA dues dollars as of 5/28/19. If you have questions, please let us know. Well, this is my concern. I want to go back to this amendment because it has caused problems for the board. They have a 10% of what we take in, which is just over $174,000. And we actually need to be putting some additional money into our reserves, especially for the roof. So this is what has happened in the past. $24,000, $2,000 a month would go to the reserve funds. So $1,000 a month on the ledger to the roof reserve and $1,000 a month to the replacement. And so that was the money the comment that you made involves $174,000 because we made 4 assessment payments. So we've got the total. So I am concerned about that, though it doesn't necessarily have to be done every month, but that's what we've done in the past.
Resource management rebudgeted it as $5,661 per quarter, which,
And they
like I said, I don't know where that came from.
They failed to pay the first quarter. They never got it in.
As of September 2018, and this is going to lead up to replacing the roof. The roof had just over $106,000, and the replacement reserve had just over or almost $50,000, for a total of $155,000. And if we added the $12,000 for the year.
What year?
I'm sorry, let me get right. September of 2018.
Okay.
So we had just over $106,000 in the roof and under $50,000 in the replacement. And
we never got anything.
well,
That shows.
no, this was like, we would get an annual report, like,
I have the August 30 or August 30 of 2018 rather. Let me see if I can pull it up for you real quick.
all right, so I talked about the 2 accounts. So with the $24,000 that in the past we would have put in from this year, that would bring us close to $180,000 in those 2 accounts. All right, now, the reason
So this is Mary Daly's report from September 30th. That's the best I've got on the computer right now.
Okay.
It's on my home.
So can I just ask a question before you go there? So,
Well, I'm concerned about the roof.
I understand you are, and that's exactly what you're discussing. So my question is, you said that past board members were budgeted to put $24,000 a year into reserves. And do you think that occurred with all past board members, all past boards?
Well, all right, now,
I know they were budgeted, but I'm
No,
asking you,
all right.
did they do it?
this does not go back to when the building opened. The accounts were.
Let's just
were
go
made-
back since what, 2000, what did we say, 13? 2013, that's a good, thank you guys, that's a good.
They were
Year.
restricted by, though I think if we put 1,000 in a month, we're over the 10% of what we take in. So this has been, our decks and bylaws need to be revised.
All right.
So I could probably go back and check to find out how long we've been doing it, but I do know.
No, I don't
money-
need to know how long you've been doing it. My question
but I know
was,
mine.
do you know if past board members, since, just say 2013, has put in $24,000 a year into reserves? Any account, name the reserves. Yes or no? Yes, just yes or no?
I don't,
You don't know.
from
Okay.
2013,
Because if you did know, then you would know where that 174,000 came from and where the 180. And if you want to go back since 2013 and take 24,000 times what should be in our reserves, you would know. So maybe you need to look at past annual meeting minutes to see what happened.
I actually
with the
can go
reserves.
back with Mary, I think from 2013, and my husband I had his report from 1990.
Okay.
But I know they put money in. I'm not saying it was 24, I know they.
But you want us to put in the 24, but you don't know that others had put in 24.
I wanna be sure we have enough money to pay for the
We
roof.
all do. We all do. We all
Alright,
do.
so in
We all do.
2016, we got a bid, the roof would be 194,138, that was 2016. We got that from Corellis.
They're high.
Correct, they are, you're absolutely correct. So based on the money that I know is in that account, if we continue to put 12,000 in a year to the roof, we would be at 154,250, which means we would have to have an assessment of probably just over $1,000. Because you know the bid from 2016 is gonna go up, it's not gonna be.
So I believe Jason addressed that with the slide. Jason, do you want to go back to that slide
Yeah.
and address that, how we're going to be able to pay for a roof and what we're doing and what this board is proactively looking at?
Well, he had said he put the two counts together, so with that number, we probably could.
Well, what was the other account ever used for?
The concrete, if we have to replace the elevator or the compactor,
So mechanical, concrete's not mechanical.
but we did replace the sidewalk, so I know they took $23,000, we had cracked sidewalks, we were worried about a lawsuit.
But this board is looking at, we don't have that flexibility with that type of money to do because we are short on the roof fund. And we inherited that. We are very short on the roof fund reserve, inherited. So that's why we did not separate the
We
accounts
got the
because we couldn't.
Corellis estimate in 2016. We also got a Gluth estimate in 2016.
Which is a good company.
Which
Yeah,
They're
I
huge.
agree.
They're huge.
2021, their estimate is 128,336,
Right.
which would be 174,000 that's in there today. By the way, we are going to make a fourth quarter payment of $5,661.
This board will.
Yeah. So it will be 180,000-ish.
Okay,
I have a question on capital, for reserves on all our other associations, for the reserve, it's capital improvements.
Yeah,
It's
capital
roads,
improvements.
it's
Exactly.
streets, sidewalks, elevators, those are usually general
Mechanical.
maintenance, it's all general,
Yeah.
the
And that's the way
general
the school
funds.
board budget is. That's why I don't understand what they're saying, and that's the way the city budget is. And usually that's just the way funding is done. And I understand there might be an amendment that says that you need to do it, but if it doesn't make sense, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make, and I'm glad you said that, because I'm thinking from a bigger perspective with government funding, as opposed to something like this. But if you're saying that this is what you're used
So it'd
to,
be the parking lot,
That's right.
the roof.
oh yeah, and that's what they wanted to do next was the parking lot, to
Yeah.
resurface it.
And the sidewalks and all that, that's what you put in your budget for the following year to budget in to do repairs
yes.
and that. And the windows,
And I don't think there was ever a strategic plan.
it's general maintenance,
It's
yeah.
maintenance, it's not capital improvements, it's not a roof, it's not a separate reserve account, it's confusing. It confuses people, because reserve should be roof only, if I'm not mistaken. The research I've done on HOAs should be roof
Our
only.
nursing bylaws are.
Can you give us that, please?
45 years old.
Yeah, can you, yeah, if you could give us that
I did,
amendment,
Kristen's got it.
Oh.
I gave her a copy of
that's
everything.
okay, we'll look at it.
But I need to also refresh, and the, south fourth floor laundry room, the faucet leaks.
Okay, so would you let research, next time, instead of waiting for a meeting, do you mind calling the management company so they can rectify that without a
Well,
meeting?
and when you start talking about a few things, because I really don't use the room.
So fourth floor, south end,
South,
south end.
right.
I use it, I've been using it for a few weeks.
Thank you.
Just mine,
South.
fourth floor. Oh, south.
South is this.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody else who has anything under other that they'd like to bring up?
Well,
Okay, you
Jason
wanna
and I were
give
in the
your-
pool the
do you
other
wanna
day.
give your name?
Jason
and
Nardi.
Okay, unit number, please, sir.
212.
Okay.
Been here 3 weeks. So him and I were in the pool the other day, and I said, how about we put a clock outside so we can tell what time it is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when you're in the pool, you don't know what time it is.
Yeah.
And I'd gladly donate the clock myself.
We can get, what would be nice is we could get the clock that has the temperature and the humidity all in one, and they're outdoor clocks.
Well, that was my suggestion.
Yeah, and we can get that possible.
You want that regular time or part time?
Military time, but I'd be willing to
Sure.
donate the money for that. It's just, you know, we're
Probably
in the
get
pool,
them on-
I'm like, hey, what time is it?
You can get them on sale now.
Yeah.
His phone was on the table, my phone's on the table, so.
Right.
Nobody else in there?
Actually,
Okay, so this meeting's adjourned, thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Lord, for coming and staying the whole time. I learned a lot too. Yes, yeah, we can get